Closing your eyes, drawing your attention to your body, the placement of your body, and the alignment being important to allow for a better flow of breath. Of the movement of all of the movement of the body, right? The movement of peristalsis, digestion, nerve pathways, artery and vein pathways. The movement of breath, cerebral spinal fluid, right? Lots of movement in the body. And again, letting the head be far enough back so that the throat feels quite accessible. Right? The neck feels long, throat feels long and open. Back of the throat, upper palate, nasal passages. Right? The tongue is wide and soft. The shoulders are soft. Right, that verticality of the torso invites the verticality or the vertical filling of the breath. Right, that downward movement of the diaphragm and pelvic floor. Allowing for more room, space for the diaphragm to move and the breath to fill. The organs to move. If they get pushed down with the diaphragm, they move down into the pelvic floor. Just with your breath, looking for movement, and hopefully that just naturally increases the length of the breath. Good, and let's do a couple breaths with a count. So after your next exhale, complete your exhale. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause, diffuse, spacious pause. Exhale, 5 or 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause. Let's go for 5 this time. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Diffuse, spacious breath. Pause. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go for 6. If you can keep it diffuse. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Expand, soften. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause. And relax the breath, but keeping that sense of space. The continuum of the breath. And bringing palms together in front of your heart. And just feeling the change in the body, even just from a few moments of awareness of body, breath, movement. It changes your focus, your attention, your intention. The presence in your body. Good, and taking that with us into our practice. Let's inhale for Om. Okay, stretching the legs forward. So let's actually do one thing to prepare. So hands behind, just leaning back, feet wide, and I'm just going to let my knees drop to the right. And maybe even just pause here for a moment and let that left thigh get heavy, the right thigh get heavy, so they fall a little deeper into their range. And then slowly lift. And the other side, again, moving slowly. So again, we can roll over the tissue, right? When we move faster, the tissue engages a little more. Again, letting that right thigh get heavy, left thigh get heavy. Just feeling a little more access at the hip joint. And then slowly come up. It's kind of rolling across the buttock flesh. One more time to the right. And left thigh heavy, and spreading the hands into the floor and feeling the arms just slightly pull back. Just slightly. And lifting. Knees back up, slowly rolling over the buttock flesh. And knees fall left. And spreading the hands, feeling the stretch in the opposite arm and shoulder, front shoulder. Good, and then back to center. Okay, and then I'm just gonna sit in a Baddha Konasana shape. All right, so instead of having the feet close, I'm gonna have the feet further away from the body. Just gonna turn. And then I'm just gonna hold the shins and play with a little bit of movement, flexion and extension in the spine. So flexion, right, letting the back round, sitting bones, rolling towards the back of the sitting bones as the tailbone scoops forward, back rounds, head can drop. And then slowly roll sitting bones almost back. So I'm rolling towards the front surface of the sitting bone. The tailbone moves back, the spine moves forward in the body, and the face can lift. Right? Maybe shoulders drop, keeping the neck long. And then again, slowly, tailbone curls forward, rolling onto the back of the sitting bones, lower back rounds, middle back, upper back, head drops forward. Initiating from the base of the spine, rolling forward on the sitting bones, tailbone back. Right, as the base of the spine swings back, the rest of the spine swings forward. Shoulders drop, neck long, eyes open. One more. Initiating from the base of the spine or initiating from the head, noticing the difference. If you always initiate from the head, try the base of the pelvis. If moving the pelvis feels easier, then try moving from the head as gracefully as you can. And then coming back to center. Okay, so same shape. I'm just going to let my right hand now come just to the outside of my right hip. I'm just going to let the pelvis tip. So I have more weight on my right hip, left hip's light on the floor. I'm just going to take that left arm up and over. Little side bend, right? So the right ribs get closer to the right hip, left ribs come up away. But that left hip is light. I'm not pulling the hip down just yet. Good. And then let the hip lower and come up. And other side. So left hand just to the outside of the hip. The arm can bend, elbow can come to the floor. Right arm up to the ceiling and over. Again, I'm very aware that my head likes to bring me forward. So if my head is turning towards the floor, that's fine, but maybe let the head come back so it's in line with the spine, right? There's still a vertical quality before the side bend. Again, the right hip is off the floor as that right arm reaches over. And then slowly roll that right hip to the floor, almost away from the ribs. And then come up. Other side again, right hand to the floor. Left arm to the ceiling. So the right arm bends, right? Moving the elbow towards the floor, right? And there's a little teeter-totter effect, right? As I lower the ribs, right ribs to the right hip, the left hip comes up. And left arm over. Just breathing, letting that slow opening happen in that left side body. As if the hip could almost hang off the left shoulder, left side ribs. And then again, roll that left hip to the floor and come up. Other side. Right, tipping to the left, the right hip gets light. So this side I'm obviously more flexible because it's easy to bring my elbow to the floor. But again, yours might not. Or you can put a block or a blanket under your elbow if you want to rest it down. Right arm reaching quietly away from the hip. My hip is almost hanging, right? It's not quite on the floor. It's almost hanging off of that right shoulder. And then I'm just going to slowly roll the hip to the floor, increasing that stretch. And then slowly push up to come up. Okay, slightly different. Right hand to the side, left arm up and over. Good. This time I'm going to, again, left hip can still be light. That's fine. This time I'm going to turn towards the floor. So my left arm is still off the floor, but I'm turning my belly button towards my right thigh. And then let's just go all the way across. I'm just going to let that left arm reach forward, pulling me forward, my breastbone towards my feet. I'm just going to swing all the way around. Left hand comes to the floor outside of the hip. Right arm up to the ceiling. Again, right arm reaching, right hip hanging. Let's do that one more time. So right ribs turning towards the floor, belly button towards that left thigh. Letting the back round. The left ribs are trying to lift. And then I'm going to let that right arm lead as it pulls away from the pelvis. Big arc around the body. Breastbone towards the feet. Good. Belly button towards the right thigh. Rounded shape for a moment. And then rotate the body. Left arm up and over. And come up. Okay. That feels good. Should we do it one more time? Yes. Okay. So right hand to the floor. Again, you can bend the arm, you can put your elbow on a block or a blanket if you would like, or you don't have to since we're not going to stay as long. So left arm up and over, So I'm just doing a simple side bend without a rotation. Just noticing, right? I can lean a little bit more to the right without my hip coming off the floor. And then turning the ribs, rotating the spine towards the floor. Little side bend, little rotation. Belly button towards that right thigh. Left ribs down, right ribs trying to expand and lift. And then that left arm slowly reaching quietly but clearly to pull me around, pivot me around. Right breastbone moving along the right thigh, towards the feet, along that left shin, towards the thigh, left hand down. So now my right arm is reaching, I'm still rounded, turn towards the left thigh, and then slowly open. Turning the breastbone forward, belly button forward. We'll go back the way we came. Turning towards the floor, rounding. See if you can find where you're initiating from, right? If you're initiating from the head, can you shift that? Can you shift to grounding the pelvis and feeling how the pelvis has to anchor? Heavier on the left side as I come center, both hips. As I shift right, there's a clear, almost directional navigation with the legs. Or maybe it's the rib cage. Turning towards that right thigh, left arm reaching. And then opening up, belly and breastbone towards the front of the room. And then come up to sit. Yay. Okay. All right, so if you're on carpet, you might be fine. And if you're not, maybe lay a blanket down. We can open it all the way. And if your floor is warm and soft, you can also just use the floor. All right. Okay, so I'm going to lay down, arms wide. A couple of these we've done before. Feet wider than hip distance apart, and same shape that we started with in the beginning of class. So my palms are facing up, fingernails on the floor. We're settling back to the floor. Forearms, upper arms. Okay, so from here, knees very slowly tipping to the right, very slow. And I really want to let the weight of my femur bones settle back into my pelvis. As I roll. So we're compressing the tissue with the movement. And the bones are pretty heavy. Right? They're full of just the mineral. But we make blood in our bones. Right? So we have blood production and blood. Okay, and then I'm going to slowly, doesn't have to be my end range, but I'm just slowly going to come back. Right, the left hip gets heavy. Notice the left ribs and waist get heavy. The left femur gets heavy. The right foot gets heavy. And then rolling to center, through center, over to the other side. Again, femur bones heavy, pelvic bones also very heavy. Right? The pelvic organs are very heavy. And then slowly Again, thinking right hip heavy to come back. Right femur heavy. Left foot heavy, left femur and hip. Good, and then let's slowly, slowly come back to the right. Slow, slow. And just keep acknowledging the weight of the body, because when the muscles get plump, they almost lift the bones off of the floor. And we want to let the tissues spread, soften, widen. Okay, so my legs are now going to settle on the right side. I'm going to take that left arm. I'm just going to slowly trace it along the floor, taking that arm over. So we're going to go over, around the body, slight sense of reach from the shoulder joint, reaching up and around the head, shoulders, fingers gently reaching, arm bones just gently reaching from away from the center of the shoulder, turning the body. All right, so my ribs are turning, breastbone towards the floor, even letting that left thigh tip towards the floor. Left arm reaching past the right arm. Good, and then I'm going to slowly roll back, initiating from a straight left arm, sliding along the floor. Rolling across that upper right arm, across from the upper arm to the shoulder, back of shoulder, back of rib cage. Left arm slowly finds its way back to where we started. Okay. Again, femur bones heavy, pelvic bones heavy, left hip, left femur, left foot, right femur, head heavy, lips soft, tongue soft. Slowly come to center, through center, over to the other side. Knees slowly tipping, rolling the weight of the bones over across the tissue. Again, legs are going to settle to the left, and I'm going to take that right arm, trace it. Trace it along the floor, reaching out by creating almost a circle from that shoulder joint. If the reach of the arm is going to turn the rib cage, I'm turning onto that left back shoulder, outer shoulder, shoulder cap muscle. The right knee settling, right thigh settling towards the floor. Pelvis turning towards the floor, rib cage turning towards the floor. Right, reaching, getting that nice kind of squish on the outer left shoulder, upper arm. Depends on where you feel it, right hip, right waist, outer thigh, and let's slowly come back. Right arm initiating, head following, keeping that neck supple, the upper arm supple, the back of the shoulder supple, back of the rib cage supple. Good, right arm finds its place where it started, and then again letting the hips, right hip heavy, right femur, right foot, left foot, femur, hip. And just settling back in center for a moment, just pause and notice what you're feeling in your body. Maybe there's more sensation. We have many proprioceptors in our skin, in our joints. Maybe there's more feeling in the tissues that we rolled on. Okay. So now I'm just going to take my legs, stretch them out, take my arms up. So I'm in almost an X shape. Right? So the legs are a distance apart, the arms are a distance apart. X marks the spot. This is the spot right here. Okay. So, all right. So I'm just going to bend my right leg and put my foot on the floor, bend my right arm, and draw the elbow towards the knee. They're not going to touch. They're just moving towards each other a little. And then I'm just going to press into that right foot. Again, pretty slowly. And start to pick up that right hip. So as the foot gets heavy, the hip gets light. And the right arm is going to start to reach towards the ceiling now. And then over to the left. Right, so the trajectory is up and over towards that left hand. Not a lot of force or pull, but enough, again, to lead the body. Right, the right foot is going to stay on the floor. So I'm just quietly moving the hip to the left. Right, rolling towards that outer hip. Right arm reaching towards the left hand, past the left hand. And that little bit of opening in the front of the hip on the right side. And then let's slowly, I'm just going to let that right arm come to the floor, stay on the floor, and trace around the head to come back down. Let's straighten that right leg and come back into an X. And then slowly bend that left leg. Left foot on the floor. Bend that left arm. I'm just going to reach that left arm to the ceiling. And again, just very quietly step into that left foot. Quiet. So I'm not thinking engage hamstrings. I'm just thinking, oh, what happens when I push? Left arm starts to reach towards the ceiling and up and over to the right hand, right? The trajectory is the right hand. Can the neck stay passive? Can the initiation stay pretty smooth? And refining it, smoothing it out. Left foot stays flat on the floor, getting that little opening in the front of the thigh, the front of the hip. Rolling across that right back of shoulder, outer shoulder, upper arm. Good, and then again, I'm going to reach with that left arm. And slowly trace the hand along the floor, around the head. And it may not be on the floor, it might be hovering, and that's also okay. The weight slowly rolling back to the floor, slowly rolling across the buttock, rolling across the back of the shoulder. Left foot is just helping slow it down. Left leg, and then slowly straighten. left leg, come back to your X. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my feet just a little closer together. And I'm going to take my left arm. So I'm going to take my left arm straight out to the side. You can also take it a little bit higher up. So I'm going to initiate now from my right leg. So I'm just going to pick the right leg off the floor. And notice what happens in the rest of the body. And just glide my right leg over to my left leg. Across the left leg, right? It's just slightly above the left leg. And let that right leg pull towards the bottom of the mat or towards past that left foot and start to pull me to the left. So I'm going to take that right arm now and slowly slide it along the floor, down alongside the body. Good. As it gets closer to the body, I'm just going to turn the arm so the back of the hand comes to rest on that left hip as the right arm is reaching me, or the right foot is reaching across to the left, turning me. Right, so I'm going to turn now the pelvis towards the floor. The right hand stays on the hip or on the lower back. Turning the ribs towards the floor. Again, getting that stretch through the left shoulder cap muscle. That right arm is internally rotated. Back of the hand resting on the left hip or left lower back. And then I'm going to initiate from my right hand. So now my right hand is going to reach for the floor, reach towards the feet, drawing me back, shoulders back, right? Going over that left shoulder, upper arm onto the back of the shoulder. Right arm is pulling me, shoulders back, pelvis starts to follow, and come back into my X. Good. Again, arms out to the side. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's try the other side. Okay, left leg lifts a little. Slowly comes towards the right leg, over the right leg. Reaching down, away from the face, past that right foot, across to the right side of the room. As that left arm starts to come down along the floor, maybe it's hovering, but bring it closer to the body. So right now my palm starts facing up and I'm just going to turn the palm towards the floor. Let the back of the hand connect to the body. So as I continue, that left leg keeps pulling me over, pelvis turns, right? I'm on the outer right hip and then towards the front of the body, front of the pelvis. That left hand is still resting on my right hip or right lower back. Ribs turn to the floor. And getting that stretch across that right deltoid, upper arm, shoulder. And then initiating from that left arm, right? So the left shoulder starts to roll back. Left fingers pull towards the floor, pulling me onto my back, right? Over the back of the right shoulder, ribs. Left leg is resisting, 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 and reaching as I roll back onto my back. Come back into my X. And just notice what you notice. Again, where do you feel more sensation? Where do you feel more clearly? More body awareness? Or more softness, more suppleness? Okay, I'm going to do one more of those. So again, like just a narrower X with the feet, arms out to the side. Right leg lifts a little, draws towards the left leg. And again, initiate with the leg for a while. You get that nice reach and twist, space through the waist. You can even take that right arm up to the ceiling or away from the right foot for a moment just to feel that opposition. And then let the right arm slowly fan down towards the body as that right leg pulls you even further across. Rotate that arm so the back of the hand comes to the body. And let yourself roll. Again, let the head roll. Let the head be passive. Feel that in the neck. Pelvis facing the floor, ribs facing the floor. Breastbone, front of pelvis. Coming back, right hand reaches towards the floor. Again, maybe let the head be passive. Feel that stretch. The head falling away from that right arm. Rolling across that left upper arm, back shoulder, ribs, right arm reaching, right leg resisting. Maybe take that right arm up again, away from the right foot, just to feel that reach through the side body or length, and then roll back onto your back. Okay, one more roll. Left leg lifts, slides towards the right leg, past the right leg. Keep reaching down, maybe take that left arm up for a moment just to feel that dynamic exploration through that left side. From the shoulder, or the fingers through the shoulder, under shoulder, side waist. Good, and then let that left arm slowly fan around and down. As it comes close to the body, flip the back of the hand towards the body. Keep letting that left leg pull you over the right hip, onto your belly. And then left hand still reaching. Again, let the head be passive. So maybe you feel that side neck getting a little stretch as that left arm reaches away from the shoulder, pulling the ribs to the left. Maybe that left arm comes up back for a moment, reaching away from the left leg. Left leg resists, but slowly follows. And back on your back. Again, awareness. What feels more awake, present, alive, alert, soft, supple. Okay. And then just bend your knees, gently roll to your side. And gently roll up to sit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come onto hands and knees now. Palms under shoulders, knees under hips. I'm going to turn the toes under. Good. A little distance between the knees. And I'm just going to play with, so instead of rounding, right, instead of letting the tailbone drop towards the heels, I'm going to try to keep the sitting bones lifted and come back with the sitting bones trying to reach back past the heels. And then press into the balls of the feet and send the weight forward. And back. And forward. Good, and back. Maybe shifting the focus each time. So as I push forward, I'm going to push through the outer foot to come forward. And then I'm going to shift my weight towards my inner feet. So as I come back, I'm going to lean in towards the big toe side of the foot. And then push off from the big toe side of the foot. And maybe put more weight on the little toe side of the foot as I lean back. And then press through that outer foot to come forward. One more time. Inner foot, push back. Into the big toe side of the foot. Push forward from the big toe side of the foot. Good. Lift the toes, point the toes back. Child's pose. Walk the hands forward. If you can keep the elbows off the floor, please do. Just sneaking the hands forward and sinking the hips back. Good, and then slide the hands back under your shoulders and slowly drop the base of the pelvis, round up to sit. Okay, come back up onto hands and knees. Okay, so just simple. I'm just gonna, as I shift my weight forward a little bit, I'm going to slide the right knee forward up towards the ribs. So I have the top of the foot on the floor, and I'm just going to lean back a little bit, round the back to lean back, just stretching the top of the foot. And then shift forward again. Maybe the knee can come up towards the nose a little more, and then push the weight back. And then slide that right foot back. Shift my weight back, so as I come forward, that left knee comes forward and up. So top of the foot is on the floor. And I'm just going to put a little press into my hands, shift my weight back, round my back, pull the hips back. Gentle. Shift weight forward, bring the knee up a little bit more, shift back. Good, left knee back. This time, knees together, walk the hands forward. So this time I'm just going to play with coming up onto my finger pad. So the center of the palm is lifted. Forearms lifted, upper arms lifted. Good, and then palms down. And come back onto hands and knees. Last thing on hands and knees. I'm just going to squeeze shoulder blades together. Right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade. And then spread shoulder blades apart. Squeeze shoulder blades together. And spread shoulder blades apart. Squeeze. And spread. One more, squeeze slowly, right? Just noticing. I'm just noticing how the right shoulder and left shoulder are so different. How they initiate, how they organize. Spread shoulder blades apart. Again, not so much about force, but how are they moving? How are they initiating? Squeeze and spread. Okay, down on forearms for a moment. Turn the toes under again. Again, sitting bones stay pretty neutral, and I'm just going to shift, right? So putting a little press into the forearms to shift the hips back. And then press into the feet to shift forward. Right, we're down low, so there's a little less weight on the feet, but just trying to find a little bit of movement through the toes and that under shoulder. Shift forward and shift back. Again, just the awareness of how is the shoulder moving? How are the toes responding to the weight shift? Is there resistance? Are certain toes limited in motion? Is one shoulder more fluid? Is there sensation? What is that sensation? What feels like is happening in the movement? What feels like it's not happening in the movement? And just flip your hands over for a moment. So back of the hands on the floor, and just do a few more. Shifting forward, shifting back. Should feel pretty easy. Again, there might be observations, but not a lot of effort. Much more curiosity and observing patterns. Do we shift away from that shoulder? Does that hand have a harder time laying on the floor than the other hand? Just observing. Is that tightness in the shoulder connected to the neck or the jaw or the feet? And then flip that hand over again. Toes together, knees wide. Child's pose with the hands reaching forward, hips sinking back. Good. Slide the hands back under the shoulders and round yourself up to sit. Okay, so let's come back down. Okay, so we're just gonna do a side. So I'm gonna come back onto my back, maybe have a block handy. Arms out to the side. Let's take a block between the thighs. Just a gentle, again, the power isn't as important as how does it work? How are they working? Just gently, gently hug the block. Right thigh, left thigh initiating. Same time. And then slowly relax that effort. Notice what can settle back, what can settle back more. What is having a hard time settling. And again, gently hug the block. You start to feel extra helpers come in, hip flexors, butt, jaw, hands. Go slower or more diffusely. And then again, relax the effort. Hips drop back. Ribs drop back. Feet drop back. One more time. Again, slowly engaging. And if you feel balanced, if you feel there's not a lot of extraneous effort, maybe play with increasing just a little your effort or your focus. Still keeping it diffuse, keeping the hips wide. And slowly relax the effort, right? There's a difference of the muscles almost squeezing into the bone rather than organizing, turning on, getting clear, supporting the bone without the squeeze, the grip. Okay, ribs, waist get heavy. Start to peel the heels up, knees up, holding the block very gently. Knees start to tip over to the right. You can always shift and put the block under the right thigh if you need to, or an extra blanket under the right thigh. Let the knees come closer to the elbow, then further away. Feet drop. Ribs drop. head. Notice where the head wants to roll, or maybe even rolling the head gently side to side. Very slow. And then maybe rest your right hand on your outer left knee and just take several rounds of breath, just letting your body settle. Jaw, face, throat, neck, shoulders, belly. Breath slightly lengthening. On the inhale and the exhale. And just taking the block with your hand, just take it out and just let your feet just slide back to center and let the knees lift. And bring the block between the knees. Gently hug and gently relax. Good. Peel the heels off the floor, peel the toes off the floor, knees towards the chest, and then knees over, up and over to the left elbow. Again, support the outer thigh if you need to. Let the feet come to the floor or be supported. You can have pillows, blankets under that outer left thigh. Left hand comes to your outer right knee just to give that body more room to settle, like more security or stability. And head slowly rolls. And maybe one side. Center slowly to the other side, just to feel where the relationship, neck, chest, shoulder, back. And then finding a spot where it can, throat can soften, neck can soften, back and neck, head, arms, chest, back of shoulder, belly, tongue, face, eyes, feet, feet. Good, and just slip the block out between the legs, let the feet slide back to center, and knees come up. Good, block between the thighs just for a brief moment, just a gentle hug. And gentle relax. Good, and we're just gonna roll to the side and come up to sit. So I'm gonna take my blanket and my two blocks. And And I know we haven't used this in a while, but I'm going to grab my strap. Okay, so I'm going to make a loop. I have my strap first. So I'm going to make a loop. With my strap. So ideally, I want to be able to put it on my thighs. So I'm just going to make it a little bigger than hip distance apart and put it off to the side for a moment. And then I'm going to take my blanket and roll it. I'm just going to roll it up so it makes a nice thick roll. Good, and then the blocks are going to be box for the feet, blanket for the thighs. And then I'm going to lay down, right? So just kind of visually found the placement. You can go ahead and, this is a great thing about having a screen, you can find your block. Right, so I just want the blanket in a nice place so that there's not that much weight on my heels. There is, but there's a little bit less. And then I'm going to bend my knees and I'm going to slip the strap around my thighs. And I'm just going to cinch the strap in and re-straighten the legs. Right, it's just going to keep the legs from rolling out. Right, they're about hip distance apart. They should be able to settle back without rolling out. Again, make it so it feels comfortable. It doesn't feel confining, just feels anchoring, grounding. That it's just giving a certain amount of focus to the legs, but that you can still relax fully. Relax the buttocks, back of the pelvis. Right? You can even pull the buttock flesh kind of from center out if that helps. Maybe even kind of grab your sticky mat under your blanket or grab your sticky mat. Slide your ribs away from the back of the pelvis just to lengthen the lower back and then let those ribs sink back to the floor. Arms can be close to the body, palms down, palms up, or hands on body. And then just letting the strap hold the legs. Letting the legs fall out into the strap. Adjust the strap if you need to. Just turning your focus back to your breath, feeling the exhale, the longer exhale, allow a slow melting, diffusing quality in the body. And maybe on the inhale as well. Soft, diffuse inhale. Slow, diffuse exhale. Hands soft, feet soft. Right, there's just a slight elevation of the legs, a slight inversion. Just releasing or shifting that flow of blood in the legs. Softening in the face. Again, the tongue, the eyes, cheeks. the lids of the eyes. If the orb of the eye still feels busy, right, we spend a lot of time looking at screens and it has an impact. So maybe just noticing, maybe spending a little more time on the eye if you feel like it needs it, right? Feeling the socket, the tissue around the orb of the eye softening, lids of the eye, the ball of the eye itself, right? The connection of the orb of the eye to the optic nerve. Right, which is at the back of the eye. The brow, forehead, all the structures and tissues around the eye. Even temple area, temple skin, bridge of nose, right, cheeks, right, whatever borders the eye. Lips, inner ears, hinge of jaw, the whole inner space of the mouth, upper palate, back of throat. Just letting your awareness travel through your body, and as if your attention, your focus, your attention, and your intention for space, softness, suppleness for your body. And feeling how you have an impact, how you can make adjustments just with your intention. Even just by softening your focus. And last few moments, just almost dropping into a nourishment that's greater than you. Whatever that is, nature is a nice place to start. Or a community, a relationship, a pet, that feeling that allows you to soften and expand. And as you feel nourished, as you feel filled up, that you feeling you get in the forest or in a hot bath. Or with a really good friend. Letting everything that doesn't feel like you, that's ready to just be released. And gently return, or even just to kind of digest it and returned to be used somewhere else. whatever isn't yours in your thoughts, emotions, in your being, in your work, family, just letting it sift out. And almost cleaned and cleared and returned elsewhere to be used as a gift. And then whatever of yours that has been displaced or distracted, entangled elsewhere, just letting that gently return to you. And as if calling yourself back home. And moving along golden threads of light. Return to you to be used as you need. And just, in a sense, clarifying that energetic process, that natural process. Again, last moment, just returning back to that sense of nourishment, the support, the clarity, the spaciousness. And very gently finding some movement in fingers and toes. And gently, when you're ready, bend your knees. Slip your strap off. Roll onto your side. And come up to sit. Palms together in front of your heart. Let's finish with one Om. Om.